Welcome back everyone to a very analytical Cobra Kai watch party. Rather than just throw out tons of Season 3 speculation, I thought perhaps in this lull I could do a more specific scene analysis. This will be a little more detailed than I normally do, but I hope this is something that can help you appreciate every aspect of the show more. The scene I'm going to look at is the roller rink scene. I had intended to bring this up in this video on the small hits and Easter eggs, but as that was getting longer and longer, I needed to cut some stuff out. So why not take a whole video and break it down even more in depth? The few roller rink scenes, or sequence as we call it, is an example of the show firing on all cylinders. The writing, performances, directing, and editing all come together and form a whole that is greater than the sum of the parts. Plus, I think this sequence is the best textbook example of rising action that you're going to find. As you remember, rising action is the idea that as a story or scene or sequence progresses, the stakes and tension get progressively higher. It keeps building and building until you hit a turning point that launches you faster right up to the climax and through the denouement. It follows the classic plot outline. Now, I looked online for a classic example, and I really didn't like what I was finding. My biggest issue was with the falling action or denouement. In these two examples, I feel like it's way too sharp a fall. We're not massively dropping off of the climax. In this example, it's way too long. This outline makes you think the climax is happening in the middle of the scene, not near the very end. I did like this example, not because of the plot outline. It also included a Michael Bay plot outline. Actually, if you think about it, it really is the plot line for every single Michael Bay movie. Scary accurate. Anyway, frustrated, I just modified one and made my own. I like this in that it's still simple, but captures the right feel of the plot. You have an introduction, then an inciting incident of some sort, which is really the conflict. Then you have long rising action with a turning point that rushes to the climax and then the denouement. It's not a huge drop-off. It's more like you're coasting right after the climax. Like your car is building up a lot of speed down a hill, then you just let it coast when you hit the bottom. Let's consider this in the roller rink. You already know this begins with Robbie and Sam coming in on a fun date and ends with them getting thrown out. In between all that is a lot of rising action. So it opens with these two excited about the date. All this talk about what characters they are is funny if you are familiar with Pretty in Pink, which I'm not, but whatever. We get the scene, we get the excitement and anticipation, and then we get the conflict. Oh look, Tori's here. You can really feel the immediate shift in mood. It's like an ice chill falls over all the characters. In fact, remember that. Ice chill. We're going to come back to it. So we have the conflict. These people who hate each other are on a date at the same place. We also have a sort of inciting incident, Sam asking for menus. Now that question itself is harmless. The problem is Tori takes it personal. Sam has a history of asserting superiority. But this exchange begins our rising action. From here on, we're really only going up. And up we go as Miguel shows up. He says Tori is in Cobra Kai, and then the climax of this scene, Tori trying to make Sam jealous. So notice while this scene is the intro of the roller rink sequence, the scene itself has its own beginning, middle, and end. It even has a short denouement as they walk off to get skates. This is what you can think about when someone says tight structure. Now the second scene in this sequence starts with its own little introduction, except this time the stakes are higher. Compare the dialogue.
Mr. McCarthy for synergy, or at least Ducky.
Come on, with the hair, you know my only option was Spader.
To this.
Kinda weird running into your ex. Plus, that girl Tori is the worst.
It's no longer fluffy, Pretty in Pink talk. It's about seeing Miguel the first time since the tournament. It's about Tori. The tension and idea of what's going to happen is there. It's the rising action. Everything has increased in importance. Also, the scene ends on a happy note. The music, the kiss, the character, and the audience is raised up. Of course, what goes up? Well, let's keep going. Now right off, notice how this scene fits into the broader roller rink sequence. It's easiest to see with Sam's reply.
What do you want?
Hey, that's cold. There's a lot of cold takes here. But see again how this fits into the broader concept of rising action. We've gone from talk on John Hughes films to talk on Running Into Your Ex, and now an actual cold conversation between them. Each time the significance of what's being said is higher. This moment is good. Tori is dropping off the order. 3 hot dogs, 2 vanilla shakes, and a Coke with extra ice. Now first off, who the hell orders a Coke with extra ice? Like, it's already cold, what the hell's the point? But second, pay attention to the editing. Notice how it cuts in relation to the dialogue, right here. This is a point of view shot of Tori looking over at Miguel and Sam. And on this shot, we get precisely 1 word of dialogue.
3 hot dogs, 2 vanilla shakes, and a Coke with extra ice.
The characters have had a cold attitude to one another throughout this sequence. It's part of the tension. And now putting the line ice right on this shot is the capstone of that. We know that is how Tori feels here. Ice cold, no warmth. This is where we see how territorial she is and how she feels about Sam moving in on that. This is a sort of decision that's made in editing. They have different takes and they could have stayed on this shot. But by cutting to the point of view shot and doing so on just the word ice, subtly magnifies the emotion of the scene. It's a great touch and a great move by the editor, who I recently learned is Zach Arnold. I do want to give him credit for this because it's really well put together. I also realized I attacked his editing in another video, so it's fair to call it out where it's good. Also note, this is the turning point for the whole roller rink sequence. Everything accelerates to the end. And so the stakes are raised. Miguel accuses Sam of playing mind games on him. She reacts to that by further continuing to play mind games. Again, cold as ice. The last scene moves fast and everything has significance. Sam's mind is still on Miguel while Robbie is behind her. Robbie talks about people thinking he's Dan Johnson, and they probably meant Don Johnson because he does look a lot like him. This is a humorous moment, and note the craft here. We have a high moment, some humor, right before we get knocked down low. It's a writing technique that emphasizes the emotion in action. We go from high humor to low, Tori knocking her over. And this is the climax of the whole scene. Tori shoves Sam, "Get away from my man." Sam snaps, knocks Tori from behind. Miguel sees and is pissed. Really, everything from the moment these two have walked into the ring has been leading to this. Then, as we remember from the plot outline, we have a short denouement, which is Robbie and Sam getting kicked out with a final ice-cold stare down. So like I said, if you're ever looking for a solid textbook example of a plot outline and a perfect demonstration of rising action, think back to the roller rink sequence. From when they enter the building, the tension keeps building up and up. It never falls backward. Even as the individual scenes start anew, the stakes in the dialogue have been raised, and up it goes, building right through the turning point, faster and faster, accelerating into the climax, where it doesn't stop, but coasts on that high point through the denouement. You relish in the ice-cold intensity of the moment. So whether you're still in school and your teacher pops an assignment on rising action, or maybe you want to write your own stories and are looking for a good example of plot structure, I would suggest coming back to this. And I can't tell you when season 3 will come, but if you want a spoiler, you can click that video, which will spoil some episode titles. Otherwise, this cool fan recreation of Ace Degenerate by Cobra Kai Kid. It's great stuff. Have a great day, and I will see you again very soon.
Everyone's got a sob story. That doesn't give you the right to be a bully.